What am I supposed to do? Not one, not two, money penny now Hindu. Jeff Keighley needs you to know he got transgender games and a puppet show. Sweet baby ink clocked by this detective. Black girl astronaut, the new woke directive. Methamphetamines, y'all stay shooting. All black cast in a game about looting. Gaming sneezed so hard that they farted. Naughty Dog a decade away from Uncharted. $80 Outer Worlds, Minecraft Crossworlds. Maybe they'll believe you if you call it a girl. Jaguar rebrand, pray to your sales. I'm Rusty Shackelford, don't call me Dale. If you are a real fan, you'll pay anything. You should get your head checked, brace for the reckoning. Wanna be edgy but DEI. Outlawed pretty titty, so reach for the sky. NPCs looking better than your protagonist, so now it's all animals and objects inanimate. 1 million views, 3,000 likes, saying sorry for a hat, nigga stole his own bike. Added to the pile, another woke game destroyed, came to the wrong place looking for a gay boy. Hello, beta testers. Hisashi buridana. I'm not one to be overly critical, but I guess today I have things to say. Like, comment, and subscribe if your head is not buried up inside you enough to occasionally realize some of our existences are privileged enough to moan about Apple updates, talk about our GPUs, and throw money at prototype first edition Nintendo Switch 2s like the beta testers that some of us were apparently born to be. Join or become a patron because I'm ready to shovel the last bit of dirt onto this woke cancer in gaming. And I've already started circulating things that I know people who aren't allowed to interact with Kyle would repost if they came across it anonymously. Submit it. Whatever remains of the uppity brain-damaged journalists still defending Surgery Scar Dragon Age games and Robot with Pronouns Concord games have decided that they suck so much that they're spreading their legs Hassan style, just squawking Asmongold's name at every opportunity, on top of incessantly mentioning woke and Gamergate in a last-ditch effort for clout. These entities class sensitivity consultant information that 500,000 people found pertinent as useless information and claim to be exhausted enough to ban anyone mentioning what him can't stop mentioning, but apparently it's just a loud minority, a minority that exhausted you, brother. Here's hoping the block button continues to work to reinforce the echo chamber that you're attempting on Elon Musk's website. Tassie defended racist Sweet Baby Inc. entities, including but not limited to harasser Chris Kindred and only black hiring Danny Lalanders, who's admit to being racist with her shut down studio at cliffhanger and canceled Black Panther game. Amusingly, DEI's ugly women mandates weren't enough. The uncanny caricatures being mixed up are somehow more offensive, in my opinion, than racist art with the intent to offend. Isn't that impressive? As a Jamaican man, I shouldn't be able to look at art that some studios spend hundreds of millions of dollars on and think that all it needs is a fucking bone through the nose to complete this disgusting caricature, which wouldn't even be a stretch, with how many piercings and ridiculous haircuts need to consistently fail in their new normal attempt. Concord lasted less than 2 weeks because at a glance, people were so repulsed by pronouns that it struggled for 1,000 players at one time. I remind you, 500,000 people clicked into trying to understand anything that Sweet Baby Inc. touched. YouTube doesn't even routinely notify you that my videos are up, and still more than that find a way to these videos, and I thank you for the likes and contributions and the comments, because all of that pushes this nonsense up in the algorithm. And I have to remind people every day, I'm not out for clout. I'm not trying to get everybody to subscribe to me. I just want the truth to be out there. The kind of truth you might have seen me running my mouth about Mind's Eye on. For those of you joining the Discord and getting more reliable notifications for these videos to like them so they gain traction accordingly, I thank you. But the meat of this video is about ugly, the deliberate ugly, not selling. Men used to have an outlet to unwind, de-stress, be a bit of an asswipe, and talk some shit to whom might inevitably become a close friend once we gauge their skin thick enough to be a homie. But now, the backwards lunatics claiming to be progressive, the intolerant scrote-lickers claiming tolerance, the exclusion-happy entertainment destroyers preaching inclusion, are so offended by everything that our media has been stripped of a sense of humor. You've got a dweeb shooter developer apologizing for a hat that he's wearing with his Imagine Dragons game trailer, and it looks like this. What the hell, man? And all because the GDC screamers were reminded of an election half a year ago they lost, and now this dude's bowing to wipe up the piddle out of their diaper. I remind you, avowed developers were saying shit like they need to feel the sting of shame for the rest of their putrid lives, to be honest. And that is me being nice in response to a call for compassion for those on the losing side of the election. That's them, by the way, and they can't even remember the things that they say, but that's okay. I'll do the remembering for them since they habitually delete their tweets. Damn. I attempted Splitgate 2, and hard crashes and freezes later I realized I wasn't even inspired to unlock the free emotes that would only have costed me a bit of time. They were a bit tame for me. Bungie's gotten so brave that they've made a habit out of routinely stealing art directly from users their developers follow, but from what I understand, even they got fired. Some of you unfortunately have never been in a Discord or been sent messages to understand how sniveling, rotten, and just pathetic these games developers are. At studios like Build a Rocket Boy behind a game like Mind's Eye, they're so desperate to take down content, they're stopping sponsored streams in the middle because they heard you said something. I'll skip the I told you so's of Mind's Eye's disastrous launch, but my issue is with many people who were aware and said nothing. Many people would end up duped by cutscenes into beta testing an incomplete game, but even I'm on both sides enough to recognize that some of that fault lies on the user for not taking the time to check out what this investment was all about. Bugs, crashes, stuttering, frame dips, screen tearing on console, pop-in, dated gameplay, brain damaged AI, ridiculous blurring, abrupt catapults reminiscent of old GTA glitches, an empty world that is so empty that it bears repeating. It's incomplete. And the day one patch did not save it. Tons of slow walking and talking to pad out the experience to get you just over the threshold of not being able to refund the game. And everybody's talking shit on fucking, Unreal Engine, but so many other experiences that have come out have functioned, have been in a state closer, if not well past completion. This is the essence of being a beta tester, being brought burnt food that looks and smells like a turd that they're charging you a premium for, and just to ice that turd, they're making all the characters deliberately ugly because message, the Bella Ramsification of media. All these years later, I'm still hearing the bootlicker mantra, "You're just a hater, it'll be patched, make your own decisions and stop needing online reviewers to tell you what you think." $80 for games now, Outer Worlds from the Trigger devs behind Avowed, one of whom is so desperate for his inbox to receive that African cream filling. That's the stuff. But it's not hostess, it's host, cause biologically, born with a dick and balls makes you a dude, okay? Watching peanut-brained Marxists attempt to speak on other people's behalf as if they're an authority reminds me that, as usual, what they them believe is of no consequence. It's all about you, beta tester. What they do or don't think is woke is irrelevant when we witness the industry fire these people, downplay and transform the message, and make statements denouncing it, because what some identity entities recognize as a loud minority is doing the majority of the funding. Frankly, we don't care if change happens. We've already situated our alternatives. The people that you robbed of an outlet that would have kept their head down and sat their ass in the crib and minded their own fucking business are out in the real world ruining it as far as you're concerned. And daily, their voices grow stronger because of you. You help unite these people against you. anything but you. Vindictus Alpha is still up. Stellar Blade PC launches today. My Steam link's in the description. Go get me something. You know, I want to play that Tony Hawk game. Shout out to Anil, Matthew, and No Name Extra. Chrono Odyssey will be out on the 20th if you want to engage in that test. Mecha Break finally officially launches on July 1st, and if you care to try Neverness to Everness, you can on July 3rd. My personal thirst extends most to Crimson Desert, which I feel will be a Game of the Year entry for me. I'm sick of all of you not being able to taste it, but in the same way I was making it a plain that you should avoid Mind's Eye, I think you should pick up Crimson Desert. Here's hoping they don't poop the bed before it comes out. When it comes to game developers apologizing to the powerless entities pushing for studio closures, championing woke in games, the reality is this. Devs can now correctly surmise what gingerbread pronoun-filleting libtard journos and shills who think they themselves progressive will freak out about enough to clock how you're gonna respond. You promoted this man the same way he assumed that you might by reacting exactly the way he thought you were gonna. The same way transgender fury onto, air quote, boycott let Hogwarts Legacy become the bestseller of the year that it came out. 20 years after this property was relevant. You people and your screeching and your moaning, your high-pitched squeaking in the Call of Duty lobby. You made yourself the prime target for the teabag, and I guess some of you would prefer that than the apathy associated with no one remembering who the fuck you are, right, Paul Tassi? They misinterpret reality and only inhabit the gaming space like the parasites they are because they're nothing without this. Splitgate 2 might not instantly go the way of X-Defiant, but there are better games that I wouldn't even give my fucking time, no disrespect. The industry is well aware of what you like, beta tester, what you prefer, what you want, but the Bella Ramsey they force to challenge beauty standards in entertainment is something they expect you to pay for. Show them by denying the people who hate you the funding they don't deserve. Gaming's landscape is changing. Returning to profit, you could say, and the shift up just happened. You might have missed it. To the patrons and sponsors and beta testers, I love you. Like and subscribe, comment if you haven't, so that we can be better informed together. I know my rambling can get me everywhere and nowhere as I tiptoe around what I'm allowed to say on the platform of our Lord YouTube, but I don't need to say much of anything. We don't need to prove all of this deliberate ugly that they're forcing in this space now. I've been enjoying my time with Vindictus Defying Fate and see 40k concurrent players as a healthy gauge of interest in the game, but it doesn't appear to be reviewing too well, and I hope the unfulfilled expectations are addressed. I'm a normie outsider and just want to see things pushed in a better direction, and this really seems like a step towards that. Keep me aware. I look forward to jiggling you soon.